With just a few days with the phone, we didn't go into much detail about the camera system in the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max review. Now that we have also picked up the 17 Pro, we can take a deeper look at how the 17 Pro Max performs in the camera system, this time by comparing it directly with the gold standard, the iPhone. Here's some good news up front. Xiaomi hasn't cancelled the Ultra lineup, which means the 17 Pro Max definitely isn't the best camera phone in the 17 series. And by the way, if you don't want to wait months for the global version of the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max, make sure to check out geekwheels.com. That's where you can find the Chinese version with a bigger battery. On paper, the main cameras of these two phones aren't that different. Neither stands out as the absolute best among today's flagships. Even after shooting hundreds of photos, it's hard to tell a major difference in image quality, despite the iPhone consistently outputting 24 megapixel photos, double Xiaomi's resolution. If you zoom in, you will notice Xiaomi's sharpening and noise reduction are a bit more aggressive, which makes its photos look slightly crisper. But in reality, it doesn't actually capture more detail than the iPhone. The low-fig technology does help Xiaomi achieve better dynamic range, but the iPhone's HDR is no slouch either. In most scenarios, their dynamic range is nearly identical. Only in special cases like bright light boards at night does low-fig show a real advantage. The bigger difference lies in color styles. Like authentic mode doesn't need much explanation, lower saturation, higher contrast, and darker vignettes. Even if you switch to Leica vibrant mode, it still looks punchier than the iPhone's standard style. But honestly, you can make your iPhone photos look just as Leica-like by tweaking the style settings a bit. All in all, I'd say the two main cameras perform on a similar level. There's no clear winner or loser here. As you can see, Xiaomi 17 Pro Max's telephoto camera is undoubtedly superior. Its larger sensor gives it a clear edge over the iPhone. And that's not just theory. Once you go beyond 150mm, Xiaomi wins hands down. That said, the iPhone 17 Pro actually has improved massively compared to previous generations. If you're an iPhone user, you probably wouldn't believe this 40x zoom shot came from an iPhone. It's almost no different from Xiaomi's AI-enhanced photo. While I'm satisfied with Xiaomi's image quality here, I'm not a fan of its focal length. I often find the iPhone's 100mm telephoto much easier to compose with. Xiaomi's is simply too long. Since it's already called the 17 Pro Max, why not copy over the telephoto focal length too? I hope the next generation goes for something around 85mm instead. In our previous 17 Pro Max review, I mentioned the Xiaomi's image fusion technology. Simply put, when shooting between 3x and 5x, the phone blends the center of a photo from the 5x telephoto into a cropped image from the main sensor. This dramatically improves center sharpness. Xiaomi already used this trick back in the Mi 11 Ultra, and it really can create a noticeable gap in quality versus the iPhone. I quite like it, but it's not perfect. The downside is that the center and the edges can look inconsistent. If you zoom in on the corners, the quality looks almost identical to the iPhone's. And the feature has many limitations. It won't activate if the telephoto lens can't focus, lighting is too dim, the subject is moving, or the scene is too complex. For example, this photo was taken on a moving boat, so the subject ended up blurry. That's still acceptable, but sometimes textures like brick walls get warped and smeared. That's a failed fusion and is far less tolerable. Unlike AI enhancement, this can be turned off. Still, Xiaomi deserves some credit for trying to make up for the lack of a 70mm lens. Compared to Apple, which hasn't tried anything similar, I'd still give this round to Xiaomi. Even just on paper, it's rare to see the iPhone's ultra-wide camera actually beat an Android phone for once. Yep, Xiaomi's ultra-wide camera can't even beat Apple's this time. But Xiaomi fans, don't panic yet. In daylight or well-lit night scenes, the gap in image quality isn't as big as the sensor specs suggest. The real problem shows up in low light. The darker the environment, the weirder Xiaomi's ultra-wide colors get. Image quality, dynamic range, and saturation all take a noticeable hit. In near dark conditions, the photos are basically unusable. Another issue is the narrow field of view. With a 102-degree FOV, Xiaomi's 17mm ultra-wide feels much tighter than the iPhone's 13mm, and that difference is huge. Whenever I want to capture as much as possible in one shot, I always end up pulling out the iPhone 17 Pro instead of the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max. Here's a focal length diagram that clearly shows how unbalanced Xiaomi's three cameras are. That's my biggest disappointment with the 17 Pro Max camera system this year. For me, the most important thing in mobile photography is being able to take sharp shots at any focal length. When it comes to the front camera, I'd say both phones perform about equally well. Everyone knows the iPhone can take landscape selfies while holding the phone vertically, a pretty neat innovation. But if we're talking strictly about the image quality, Xiaomi is the clear winner. Thanks to the rear display, you can use the main camera for selfies, and the result honestly rivals a DSLR. This is hands down the best selfie camera quality ever on a smartphone. Maybe most people don't care that much about the ultra-wide camera. After all, you rarely use it for photos. But for video recording, that ultra-wide view is irreplaceable. Just like with the photos, the difference is small in daylight but grows bigger as light drops. Indoors, noise becomes noticeable. At night, details disappear completely. Overall, the iPhone handles this much better. Xiaomi still has a lot of work to do with its ultra-wide video quality. That said, the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max main camera performs very well for video. Its large aperture even gives it a slight edge in low-light scenes. Recording in log mode feels similar to normal shooting, and again, the main camera results are quite close between the two phones. Xiaomi's advantage is less noise, but it sacrifices some dynamic range. The iPhone is the opposite. These differences become more obvious with the ultra-wide. For raw photos, Xiaomi performs much better than in the log video. Its images are just as sharp as the iPhone's, with good dynamic range too. You only see some color noise when lifting the shadows. If you ask me a couple of years ago whether I'd shoot raw photos with a Xiaomi phone, I'd say no. But now I'd probably say yes, as long as they can make the camera experience a bit smoother. Yes, the photo taking experience on the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max isn't great, and after using it for over a week, I had run into quite a few problems. For example, if you try to take a selfie with the ultra-wide camera, your hand will always end up in the frame. Even if you use the volume button as the shutter, you will need an awkward grip just to get a clean shot. If you don't use a case, a problem shows up with the ultra-wide lens. It's super easy to be smudged by your finger. Sometimes you will find your ultra-wide shots look blurry or full of glare. That's probably just oil from your fingers on the lens. Give it a quick wipe and it's fine. There are other small frustrations too. You can't switch lenses while recording in log mode. Flash doesn't work in ultra raw mode. Front and rear cameras dual video is gone. The camera area also tends to attract dust due to static around the display, so every time you take the phone out of your pocket, there's more dust than on a normal phone. Some people won't care, but compared to the iPhone 17 Pro, which avoids all these issues, Xiaomi still has a long way to go in terms of a camera experience. Of course, Xiaomi 17 Pro Max does plenty of things right. It wouldn't be fair to only nitpick. For example, the camera settings are incredibly detailed. You can tweak metering preferences, enable auto lens switching, or even turn on focus peaking and exposure verification. You can also manually control shutter speed and ISO without third-party apps, features iPhone users have been dreaming about for over a decade. And I'm glad Xiaomi didn't copy Apple's camera control button, because honestly, that thing is completely useless for most of us. Okay, you've probably noticed I haven't talked much about how good the iPhone 17 Pro's image quality is. That's because, to me, the iPhone is the benchmark. Everything it does is just right. It may not excel in any single area, but it never disappoints either. Xiaomi, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. It has plenty of things that make me want to choose it, and plenty that frustrate us. If you're looking for a phone that can truly outperform the iPhone in every aspect of imaging, waiting for the Xiaomi 17 Ultra might be the smarter move. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. I'm with Gizmochina. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.